BoxBox Hub is an absolute essential for any Formula One fan, and the entire app with new widgets, statistics, localized race schedules, and countdowns, you name it. They even have support for Apple's new live activities feature with real-time updates during a race right on the lock screen, and honestly, some of the best looking widgets I've seen.
And it is time for the action here in Silver. Sorry, I just missed the first bit there. We are back for Silver Season 7, and we are ready to get going, I think. We have got everybody in the lobby. And welcome along then. Season 7, here we go. We've got some new lineups there, as you can see on the screen. And we are ready to get started then for the first time. I think we're ready to get started for the first time here in Silver Season 7 after a fantastic Season 6. We're looking forward to seeing what we can do for Season 7 as well. Ultimate Beast and Irvine line up in the Red Bull. Unfortunately, not showing up for the first race of the season, which is a bad note in my book. But there we go then. So Beast and Irvine will take to the Red Bull then for Silver Season 7. And of course then in the Ferrari we've got, we've got McGlocks and Craig. McConey has unfortunately dropped out already, so that was quick. But there we go then. We have got Glocks and Craig then in the Prancing Horse Ferrari team. Mr. Elite and Gordo, the pairing from Red Bull last season, have teamed up again in the Mercedes this time. So Toto Wolff's going to be very happy with that lineup, I'm sure. And then in the McLaren, we've got a formidable lineup of Dylan and Sweet MJP. Looking both very good and very strong. Then, of course, Dylan there was in the top 3 last season, but stayed in silver for this season as well. So we're having to wait and see what he can do. Can he muster up a title charge then in the McLaren? And can Sweet MJP turn his form around then? He had a bit of a difficult season last season in the Williams with Sweet MJP, but he managed to get some good results then nonetheless. And we can see what he can do then after switching then to the McLaren team as well. Kamara Racer and Vessia line up in the Alfa Romeo. Vessia, of course, promoted from bronze last season after a stellar season indeed, and did lead the championship in bronze for the early stages. Kamara Racer had a difficult season in the Aston Martin in silver season 6, but looking good in the Alfa Romeo here as well, and his favourite car indeed. But unfortunately, he's on holiday this week as well, so he won't be back for. We will be back for Austria in a week's time. For round 2, that is. In the Alpine, we've got Reflection and Pot Stuff there. Pot Stuff and Reflection, very consistent indeed. Pot Stuff did finish in P5 in season 6, and Reflection was P13. So looking to capitalise on a consistent season and go again for those two. In the AlphaTauri, Mumford and TK. TK, the victor of bronze season 6, has been promoted, of course, up into silver as well, looking to take on the AlphaTauri team along with Mumford, a very consistent, a very fast team. Those two indeed. Nigel and Farf, another fast team in the Haas. Then Nigel back into silver after having a difficult season in gold. Can he turn his form around then and have another title charge in silver once again? And Farf, can he get himself further up the order then? Can he get himself in that top 3 as well? He finished P4 last season. Jinner and TKM King make up the Aston Martin team, looking for some new form then from TKM after joining the silver season grid after a well, he had a bit of a had a very interesting performance then, I should say, in Abu Dhabi in the final race of the season last year. Now, Jinner, of course, in P I think it was P15 in the end of the standings. Then for silver season 6, looking to try and get his form back as well. In the Williams, Irish New Potato and Dopey Lemons then make up the Williams team, and New Potato, of course, promoted from bronze as well. He had a fantastic season, then just missed out on the top spot in bronze last season, and looking to try and replicate his form after being in silver before as well. And Dopey Lemons, then another consistent driver, then looking forward to seeing what he can do. Can he keep on his form then from last season? Can he go for even more as well? We'll have to wait and see. We will wait and see, as we'll see what's going on in the we'll have a wait and see and see what's going on in the qualifying in the paddock, that is. Nobody out on track just yet then, but there we go. It looks a bit gloomy here in Silverstone then for the first race of the season for Silver Season 7. Welcome along everybody to the stream. Hi from Indigo, hi from Gordo as well. Good evening from Rocket Lizo, and we are ready to get started indeed for this Silver Season 7 then. Round 1 in Silverstone. A random calendar, of course, if you hadn't noticed. We did have gold last night. Should have been watching that one, making sure you're aware of what's going on. But of course, gold starts now at 7:15 p.m. instead of 7:30, so a bit of an earlier start yesterday, and going forward for the rest of the season for gold. But everything else is at 7:30 p.m. on the weekdays. And like I was saying, we've got a pretty formidable lineup here in Silver Season 7. It's going to be pretty interesting to see how they're all going to fare, who's going to be on top, who's going to come out on top over the 18 rounds of the season. The random calendar, of course, as I've mentioned, is in the Discord, so go and check that out if you haven't already. But we have got 18 rounds this season, then a bit of a shorter season then compared to the last one, but it's going to be an epic showdown nonetheless, I will imagine. But there we go then. We've got a McLaren out on track then. Dylan is the first man on the circuit in the McLaren this time. Of course, was racing in the Alfa Romeo last season and did very well for the Alfa Romeo team. Now in the McLaren, then the well, he's not a British driver, he's an Irish driver, but he probably, I don't know if he's that's close to home or not, but there we go. As there we go, car number 96 has been overtaken actually by Glocks, I think. There, no, it's not Glocks, it's Craigar, who's going to be setting the first lap time, I think, here in Silver Season 7. Then on the circuit, then car number 42, then looking good, of course, in the Ferrari after switching then from the AlphaTauri last season. So we've got to be the step up then in terms of the Italian teams, that is. And let's see what he can do then, as he's going to set ourselves away for Season 7 then, the first time on the board, I would imagine. We'll have to wait and see. Serious Mushroom said Fangio is going to get a poll. We haven't got a poll for poll just yet, but we'll get one sorted, I think. If any of the other admins are listening, they can sort that out then. Hopefully Smithy can sort something out then in the comment section for you guys. But it's going to be looking spicy indeed then this silver season. Fangio, of course, is reserving in place of Ultimate Beast. So he is just taking up the Red Bull seat for tonight. Then we'll hopefully see Beast and we'll hopefully see Irvine back next week after both the Red Bull drivers or full-time drivers have gone MIA for the first round. But there we go. Well, they've just said they're not racing, unfortunately, but we'll have to wait and see what they're going to be doing next week. But there we go then. Here we are then, Craigar then going down the Wellington Straight then in towards the Abbey, Brooklands and Abbey then, Brooklands and Luffield, sorry. Get me corners right as well now, blimey. So it's been a long off season. I've been enjoying my Christmas break too much, I think. Actually, I was very ill over Christmas, so yeah, it was a very, very, very dull Christmas for me. But there we go then. None of that. We'll have less of that rubbish. Then we don't want to forget about 2023 now. We want to get on with 2024 and see what the driver's going to be doing here around this circuit then through Maggots and Beckett's. Then goes the Ferrari driver. Let's see what he can do. Can he get himself a competitive time on the board? We've seen Craigar having a few struggles in qualifying in last season. Can he turn that around now? Of course, we'll have to wait and see, but it's looking good so far in towards Stowe Corner then for the Ferrari driver. Around the Stowe Corner we go and up towards the final part of the circuit then. Cops Corner is looming, no, not Cops Corner, Club Corner, sorry, is looming large. I'm getting all my corners mixed up because it's my first time doing this in 2024, as you can tell. And up to the line then, a 26.1 then for Craigar. Good stuff indeed. The first lap time of Silver Season 7 is on the board from Craigar. Good stuff indeed. We'll have to wait and see what Mumford can do as well. No, so just starting out as Dylan has gone faster still with a 25.863 then for the McLaren driver. Great stuff indeed then for Dylan, and he's looking strong indeed, back on the top step where he's familiar with after last season as well. So good stuff from him. Of course, his rival then of B Rabbit and Tango, rivals of B Rabbit and Tango have been promoted then to gold, I should say. They raced yesterday night in the first race for gold as well of the season 10 for gold, that is. Dopey Lemons then up into P3, then TKM into P4 as the times are starting to tumble in now as well. Here comes Mumford around the club corner as well to finish off his first flying lap then of the season, and it's 26.0 then. Good stuff indeed from the AlphaTauri driver. Glocks has put himself up into P3, then that's an all Ferrari for Road 2 as it stands, so that's pretty good indeed. We've just seen somebody else jump over the line. It is Fangio then into the 26s as well. Sweet MJP with a fantastic time indeed as well. Look at that. It's a 25.9. He's less than half a tenth away from his teammate of P1. Currently an all front row for McLaren, and that is looking good indeed. I did say they were going to be strong then in the opening scenes and in the opening credits then, or whatever you want to call it. But they are looking good indeed in the first qualifying outing then for Season 7. Speed Car has jump up into P6 now, P7 now I should say, because Potstuff has gone up into P3 with a 25.9 as well, looking strong in the Alpine. And that is pretty good stuff indeed. Then Mr. Elite has set a time there, 27.0. Then at the moment, he is a few. I think they will probably be a bit rusty, just like I am on comms, to be fair. A bit rusty then at this stage because they haven't raced in that long since the season break, since the Christmas break, as Dylan has celebrated that pole position by leaving the session then. So hopefully he can get that rectified and get himself back in the lobby. He's got 12 minutes to do so. Rightio then. He'll be watching then. I'll be P22, says Gordo. Gordo currently is in P14, but hasn't set a lap time just yet, so that's promising. But currently P22 is not available to you, sir, so you're going to have to do a bit better than that, and you will do a bit better than that just by default, so don't worry about it. So that's all good. Dylan is back in the car. Good stuff indeed. Right then. Well, this is going to be pretty good indeed. So Fangio is the favourite for pole from Serious Mushroom. Currently down in P10 though, and he is almost a second off the pace then for Dylan. Dylan is setting the precedent so far in Silver Season 7. It's looking strong indeed for McLaren, looking good for Ferrari as well, and for Potstuff and for Mumford. They're up in the order as well. We'll have to wait and see who's going to be next across the line. Unfortunately, Vesio has invalidated his time, so that is not going to be a lap on the board then for the Alfa Romeo driver. Let's see what Irish New Potato can do then. The promotee, another promotee from Bronze, and down in towards Club Corner he goes then in the Williams this time. Of course, raced in the Ferrari last season in Bronze, now into the Williams Mobile. And around the final corner and up to the line, it's going to be a 26-1, then puts himself P7. Great stuff indeed then from Irish New Potato, looking strong in the Williams as well. I'm already out of breath and I've only just started the qualifying, to be fair, and this is going to be well, if it's going to carry on like this, it's going to be one hell of a Grand Prix for me, but there we go. Gordo is coming through Maggots and Beckett's now then to get onto the Stowe straight and hang straight. And let's see what the Mercedes drivers can do. Of course, paired with Mr. Elite once again then this season, but they've switched the cars then from Red Bull then to Mercedes. And now let's see what Gordo can do then in the black Mercedes then this time. And into the final couple of corners we go then this time for Gordo. As around the final corner, car number 3 then in the Mercedes up to the line. It's a 26.4, puts himself P10 right in the middle of the grid then, Gordo. That's good stuff indeed. And of course, he did predict himself a P22, so he's going to do a lot better than that as it stands. Good stuff indeed from Gordo. Still some drivers yet to set a time. Here comes Jenner through the final couple of corners. Looked a bit slow then through the Vale chicane, but he's managed to negotiate it nicely, and he has got himself up into P9 then, just ahead of Gordo and Speed Kai, and into the top 10 then for the Aston Martin driver after looking to try and turn his form around. Then is Jenner then after a difficult season last season. He really struggled in the latter half of the season as well in the Haas, but now looking good indeed then in the Aston Martin so far. So let's see how he can fare. Vessia back in the pit lane. Is it going to rain here? It looks like it might be about to start raining in Silverstone around this circuit. It looks a bit gloomy overhead. Vertix then is just trying to get himself to start a lap, I think. Then he's had to abandon his previous lap time and try and go again, it looks like, for the Red Bull driver who's reserving in place of Irvine tonight. And let's see what he can do then as he starts himself on his way for another flying lap attempt then for the Red Bull driver. And then good stuff indeed. Gordo has said he'll take that, being P11 then at the moment, which is pretty good stuff indeed from him. Let's see, if I finished last, someone stood on me toes with studs earlier, so that's my excuse, says Gordo as well. So that's pretty painful indeed for Gordo. Hopefully he can power through the pain then and try and get himself a good result here tonight then for the first race of Silver Season 7 then. B Rabbit said, wow, it's strange to watch and not race in silver, he said. So of course the champion of silver last season, B Rabbit, then is in the comment section. And he, of course, did a good job in gold last season and might be able to get himself a point then after certain people were reported for incidents then as well. No comment on that one. But there we go then. Hope you're good as well. I think I missed my hello, but hello anyway. You're doing well. Just put in down to the first race, Rust. I think I've had that from gold yesterday, to be fair, in terms of racing myself, and now in commentary as well. So there we go. But Vertex then through Maggots and Beckett's then down towards the hangar straight, 2.5 tenths up on his time. That is not enough, I don't think, for Vertex, unless he had a bit of a problem in Sector 3. He might have done. But through Stowe Corner, he goes very nicely indeed, very calm and collected then is the Red Bull driver. Then now into Vale and into the club corner as well. Then what can we do? There's yellow flags down the back straight. I think it's just a car getting out of the way. Up to the line for Vertex. It's a 27.0. He's improved by 16.5 seconds, but unfortunately not improved his position then in this grid as it stands. We've just seen somebody jump up the order. It's TKM King with a fantastic time of 26.0 then for the Aston Martin. Looking strong indeed then is TKM King. The grid is very close indeed as Dylan goes even faster still. Never mind, ignore that, because Dylan has gone even faster, only by half a tenth or so, but it's still faster nonetheless. And he's now got a 800th of a second gap to his teammate SweMJP there back in P2, who is just about to finish a lap. Then he's halfway round the lap at the moment. We'll come back to him now, as we've got an AlphaTauri, I think, coming through. It's TK, I think. TK into the final couple of corners. Of course, the champion of bronze from Season 6 is now in silver as well and looking to do well for the AlphaTauri outfit. Up to the line, it's P5 for TK. Both the AlphaTauris looking great indeed then at this stage of the qualifying as well. Fantastic stuff from TK. Looking to go for back-to-back promotions, he said. So we'll have to wait and see if he can muster that up. But he's looking good, looking promising indeed at this stage. Here comes Fanjo then up to the line. What can he do? Can he improve? He's up to P2. He splits the McLarens as well as Fanjo. Great stuff indeed then from the reserve driver. But SweMJP has got even faster still, and he's beaten his teammate as well. He's into the 25.7s. There is SweMJP. Fantastic stuff indeed. And up into P1 then on pole position then for the British Grand Prix as it stands. Of course, there's still time for people able to improve. So fantastic stuff indeed. Sweet MVP looking great indeed in orange, and looking forward to seeing what he can do then in the race as well. Currently back to a McLaren front row then, as Dylan is off the circuit, just trying to get himself back to the pit lane, I think there. But he has got that sorted. Then here comes Pot Stuff then up to the line. What can Pot Stuff do? Can he improve? Can he get himself on pole position? He has improved by a tenth of a second, but he stays P4, and at the moment on the second row of the grid for the time being in the Alpine. Again, lots of people improving then from last season as well, looking good indeed in their new cars as well, which is fantastic to see. New Potato is back out on track, but he's going slowly then, just letting some people through. There's an Alfa Romeo then of somebody going through. Vessi is off the circuit. Vessi has had a problem there in Luffield. Wow, on the exit of Luffield, unfortunately for Vessi. Got himself back underway. No damage to the Alfa Romeo, but just to his pride, unfortunately, as he's got himself back underway and can get himself back to the pit lane then to get himself back on track. 5 minutes left of the qualifying. The first qualifying then of Silver Season 7 then, and it's been pretty good indeed so far. Like I said earlier, I'm out of breath just doing the qualifying commentating, so it's going to be even worse in the race. But there we go. Into the pits comes the current pole sitter then of Sweet MJP, looking good indeed. Fanjo and Pot Stuff will follow him in as well, I'm sure. Craigar then down the hangar straight, then 3.5 tenths up. That is going to be impressive stuff indeed. That could be pole position pace then for Craigar. It's looking strong in the Ferrari then. Look at this, and down towards Club and Vale, or Vale and Club, wrong way around. And now in towards Club as well. Then for the Ferrari, can he hold that 3.5 tenths? Can he get himself onto the front row? Can he get himself pole position? It's pole position so currently from Craigar. It's a 25.565 for the Ferrari driver. He is incredible in the Ferrari. I think he was very happy indeed to get out of that AlphaTauri then, because he's looking fantastic here in Silverstone in the Ferrari indeed. Fantastic stuff indeed. And we had some comments in about their favourites of pole position, but I didn't think Craigar, and me personally, I didn't think Craigar would be in that shout, but he's looking good indeed in the Ferrari. That is fantastic stuff indeed. That could be his first pole position of his ALR career if he can hold on to it as well. But that is incredible stuff from the Ferrari driver. Look at that, and I'm very pleased to see that indeed. Then looking good then for Ferrari then to get another pole position. Then that'll be it'll be one of their first, I think, in silver. Put it that way. It's been a difficult division for the Ferrari drivers, but not so much for Craigar here tonight. It's looking good indeed. Here comes New Potato. Then, of course, the runner-up in bronze last season, looking to improve on a 26.1 in the Williams car. Oh, almost going a bit wide then in towards Stowe Corner, in towards the hangar straight, I should say. Stowe Corner is coming up, 10.5 up for Irish New Potato as Jenner has jumped up to P6. Great stuff indeed for Jenner in the Aston Martin. And around Stowe Corner we go for the Williams driver. We might have lost a bit of time then, going a bit wide. And he's coming back to the pit lane then. And I can calm myself down then. Look at that. It's going to, blimey. I haven't set a time yet for the for the Haas drivers. Same for Vessia in the Alfa Romeo. There's no time on the board just yet for those drivers, unfortunately. So they need to get themselves something on the board quickly. As we saw yesterday from Troy here, he struggled in qualifying 1, and unfortunately that one lap that cost him, it didn't get him through into qualifying 2. Of course, it's only short qualifying here in silver, but they still need to get a time on the board to be able to get yourself up the grid, of course. So they will have to wait and see what Nigel and Favre can do. Fanjo has retired in the pit lane. He's decided to call it a day then, has Fanjo then in the Red Bull. No going to be knocking any higher than P4 at the start of this Grand Prix, and he is done a 25.830. Then he's not too far away for Pot Stuff or for Jidder, and potentially they could jump him if they can get themselves back out on another lap. That is into Stowe Corner comes the previous silver champion then for season 5, and he is paired up with his teammate as well then of Favre then, who of course they were both in the AlphaTauri then for season 5 of silver. As here comes the Haas then into the final corner, then up to the line. It's a 25.7, but it's not enough then for Nigel. He's on the front row of the grid then, but he can't beat Craigar's time, and that was an incredible lap then from Craigar. Look at that. That is incredible stuff indeed. Nigel then, the former silver season champion of season 5, then into P2, then onto the front row of the grid then, but there's still times to be coming in, I should say. There's still times to tumble in, as Dylan there is going to be the next driver out on track then, I think. This qualifying has been pretty epic from my point of view. So it's been one hell of a qualifying to open off the season. It's going to be I hope it carries on this way. 18 rounds of this, it'll be fantastic. I could just do the qualifying commentating and then just sit back and do nothing in the race, I think, because this has been absolutely epic. Then here comes Dylan in towards Cop's corner, then the old turn one, flinging the car in then as fast as you can and holding it as tight as you can then to make sure that you don't spin the car out and you don't lose any time, lose any pace as well. Through Maggots and Beckett's comes Dylan as well. Can he improve? Can he get himself past these? He almost lost the car, I think, there, but he's got it under control. He's 2/10 up on his time, or down on his time, I should say. Unfortunately for Dylan there, that's not going to be enough to improve, I don't think, unless the timing screen is glitched. But now around Stowe corner, I think he's going to have to just abandon his time here. Oh, there's an AlphaTauri then in the way. What was that from the AlphaTauri? That almost collected him then, as I think it was TK then not paying attention then to his wing mirrors. Jenner is retired in the pit lane. He is not going to be any higher than P7 as it stands then. But yeah, TK then really almost cost himself and Dylan a position in that race. Dylan had to abandon his lap. He could have gone back into the pit lane, I think, but decided just to carry on. And he has unfortunately crossed the line then to finish his qualifying. Then he's going to be no higher than P4 as it stands then at the moment. But there's still times tumbling in. There's still people to cross the line. Mumford has retired in the pit lane then. So Mumford has decided to abandon his time. Then he wasn't going to be able to improve on P8 as it stands. Then that is that for Mumford. We'll have to wait and see who's going to be next to cross the line, to be honest, because I can't quite tell. It's going to be Sweet MJP, the current lead McLaren then of the two. That is, well, obviously there's two, but current lead McLaren then for Sweet MJP then coming up to the hangar straight once again. Then he has got to find a 2 and a bit tenths or so to improve to get himself back on pole position then, which he briefly held then at the beginning of this session, but he's lost the car through Stowe, and that's McLaren off the circuit then, and that's his qualifying done and dusted, unfortunately for Sweet MJP. Then he's lost the car through Stowe, and that is his qualifying finish then. Going to be no higher than P3, but what can Pot Stuff do? Can he get himself on pole position here? It's P2, then it's just ahead of Nigel then, but TKM King has got pole position then by only 4,000ths of a second, and 400ths of a second I should say then, and he's got himself on pole position for his first outing here as well as it stands. I think that's pole position. We'll have to come back to that, unfortunately, because there's still times to be tumbling in. And here comes Glocks, and Glocks takes pole position there with a 25.379. That's incredible stuff indeed. Both the Ferraris then looking incredible here in Silverstone, and McGlocks then on his first full-time appearance then is currently on pole position. Then can anyone beat that? I think that's qualifying done and dusted then. And it's Glocks who takes the first pole position then of the season as TKM has left the session. And so, yeah, unfortunately, hopefully he can get himself back in. But Glocks takes pole position then for the first time of Silver Season 7 with a 25.379. That is incredible stuff indeed. Over a 10.5 faster than P2. And blimey, the top three were miles ahead of everybody else as well. They've been putting in the work. Then Craig looking good. TKM, if he can get himself back in the car, hopefully, will be looking good indeed as well. But that is qualifying for the first race of the season, done and dusted. Then that was epic indeed. And Glocks then is your pole sitter then for the British Grand Prix coming up in just a few moments' time. I could do a nice little lie down after that, but I think I've got to do the race as well. But there we go then. We'll look quickly through the classification then for the British Grand Prix qualifying. Glocks then on pole position, then TKM then in P2. Craig with a fantastic performance as well, to be fair, in P3. Potstuff P4, good from him. Nigel in P5, then returning to silver as well. Sweendep in P6, then New Potato in P7. Dylan in P8, then Fanjo in P9, TK I should say in P10, Ginner in P11, Favre in P12, Vessia P13, did get a time on the board eventually, Mumford in P14, Speed Kai in P15, Dopey Lemons down in P16, unfortunately for him, Reflection in P17, Gordo P18, Vertix in P19, and Mr. Elite makes up the grid then for the British Grand Prix that will be coming up in just a jiffy.
BoxBox Hub is an absolute essential for any Formula One fan, and the entire app with new widgets, statistics, localized race schedules, and countdowns, you name it. They even have support for Apple's new live activities feature with real-time updates during a race right on the lock screen, and honestly, some of the best looking widgets I've seen.
Big thank you to our sponsors, of course, BoxBox. Then get yourself onto the app then for all the widgets and everything you need on your lock screen. TKM King has got himself going already at the start of this one. But there we go. We've got somebody else teleporting about as well, it looks like. So there we go. Fingers crossed they can take the race start as normal then. But that is that. The BoxBox, of course, is your place to go then for all F1 information, all the widgets, all the wallpapers, everything you need then for your phone. So make sure you get that downloaded as well. And of course, if you've got some free money from your Christmas families and friends and whatnot, all your gifts and whatnot, then feel free to splash the cash then on a nice ALR hoodie or a t-shirt or something like that as well. So all the links in the description then for all of that then. Go and check it out then after the stream, of course, because we've got some action here to take on the Silverstone Grand Prix. And like I said, unfortunately TKM is not in the car at the moment, so fingers crossed we can sort that out. We'll have a look quickly at the tyre compounds. Then we've got majority on the hard compound. Then we have only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the medium compounds, and then we've got Speed Kai, who has gone for the soft compound tyre, the only one in the grid. Then that is interesting stuff indeed. Then, but we'll have to wait and see who is going to be coming out on top. Then in terms of the strategy, then how it's going to all unfold. Then for these drivers, and 20 drivers then on the grid to start off the season for Silver Season 7. And we've got a fantastic British Grand Prix coming up for you in just a jiffy. Yeah, we're just waiting for the drivers then to complete their formation lap then and get themselves onto the grid, lined up on the grid then to start off this race, and we'll see what we can do. Unfortunately, TKM is not in the car just yet, it doesn't look like, so hopefully he can get himself sorted to take the race start. But it will be interesting to see what happens. Hopefully he can get himself all sorted and can take the race start normally, rather than having any issues then off the starting lights. But there we go then. We will switch over to the position changes to see who's going to be making the moves then in the opening lap then, as we line up on the grid then for the British Grand Prix. Only a few seconds to go before we get the lights out here in Silverstone for the first time in Silver Season 7. Then let's get ready to get going. It is going to be an epic Grand Prix, if we can go by qualifying, that is. It's going to be some epic stuff indeed coming up in this race then. Just making sure everyone gets parked in the right places as well. It looks like TKM has been parked in the right place, which is good stuff indeed. We'll have to deal with this angle, I think. Yeah, we'll have to deal with that angle for the starting lights then of the British Grand Prix. Then we are ready to get going here in Silverstone now, and let's wait for the lights to come on now as well. Hopefully the lights are going to be working. There we are then. 5 red lights are on here in Silverstone. The 5 red lights are out in Silverstone, and TKM's got a drive through for jumping the start. Then off we go. Then the race is underway. Then Silverstone is underway for the Silver Season 7. Then TKM is trying to get himself sorted, I think. Then I'm not quite sure what's going on there for the Aston Martin. He's dropping down the field. There's all sorts of action in the background as well. Then TKM's dropped to the back of the grid, and now through into turn 3, and we've got all action all over the field. Craigar and Potstuff battling away. McGlox is just setting off in the distance there in the Ferrari. Out in front then, the pole sitter is flying already in this Grand Prix, and down the Wellington straight then it's going to be 3 wide. Is it in towards Brooklands? Then it's going to be Nigel then sticking his nose in down the inside. Now he's got the outside then round Luffield as well. Here he goes round the outside of Craigar. Can he hold it this time though? It's going to be tight indeed. There's contact indeed, I think. Not quite sure what's going on there, but they've got themselves through indeed as well. And now into Cops we go, filtering through then as TKM has retired. He's retired from the session then as TKM. What's happened there? Something's gone wrong. He's retired on track as well as TKM, unfortunately. So unfortunately, his P2 has turned into nothing. Now he's joined the session. I'm not quite sure what is going on there. I think it's just a glitch then for TKM, which is a big shame because he was looking good indeed for P2, or from P2 on the grid. But that is, I think, just a game glitch then for TKM. It's not a fault of his own. It's a real unfortunate shame. Then we had Dylan leave the session in qualifying as well, and unfortunately TKM then couldn't get himself back in the session in time to take the race start. Or he did. I thought he did, but he didn't take the race start himself. It was his AI who was in control of that one, I think. So unfortunately then TKM then having to battle through the issues. Then he's had to retire the car. TKM has left the session. I think it's going to be very angry indeed with what's happened there, as the Deltas just trying to sort themselves out. Then as we get onto lap 2, then Glox has already got a 1.3 second lead then over Nigel. Now Craigar stays in P3 for the time being after being momentarily up into P2, and Potstuff stays in P4 then, looking to try and hunt down the Ferrari drivers and to get himself further up the order. Then we'll go on to the tyre compounds after looking quickly at the position changes as well. Vertex is in the pits as well. TK, sorry, has been passed by Speed. Speed is on the soft compound tyres. They're going to be very good indeed at this early part of the race, but can they last long enough for Speed Kai? That is the question. And now putting the pressure on Irish New Potato as well, then as we go down towards the old turn 1 of Cops, and flinging the car in. Then Irish has gone very wide there. Off the circuit goes Irish, but he's managed to keep the car pointing in the right direction, thankfully. Might have been a warning then for that Williams car, but nonetheless, everybody else seems to have got themselves away quite comfortably. Unfortunately, we didn't see what happened with Mumford and Vertex then at the back of the field, but they've got themselves, they're carrying themselves on at least anyway. Same for Fandra. Fandra's had an issue as well, and so has Vessia, I think. The timing screens are just trying to sort themselves out as well. But they will hopefully be sorted out at the end of this lap as Reflection gets himself past Mr. Elite. Then he's in a bit of a Mercedes sandwich then is the Alpine driver as we go down towards, here comes Mr. Elite trying to go round the inside, round the outside and down the inside and down the outside, and he's got the move done, has he? Or does he go through the final corner? That's going to be dangerous indeed, and it was a Williams all over the back of him as well, and luckily nothing, no harm done there, thankfully, as we got ourselves all sorted then. DRS now available then, so if you're within 1 second of the car ahead, you can use the DRS there down the straight. Of course, there's the Wellington straight that we're on right now here with Nigel. Used up a lot of battery then, has the Haas driver trying to catch up to the Ferrari in the lead of Glocks, that is. But at the moment, it's not working out in his favour. The Speed car has got himself past New Potato, has he into Luffield they go then, and the Alfa Romeo is now ahead of the Williams car and up into P9 then for Speed car. Good stuff indeed. Those soft compound tyres are coming in at the right time. Of course, they've only got a few laps to live, but they're going to be very fast when they're on. And let's see what he can do. Can he get himself further up the order? Can he get himself past Ginner now? He's on the hard compound tyres, trying to fight with the McLarens as well. P6 and P7 for the McLarens as it stands at the moment. They have gained a few places though. No, I shouldn't say that. Dylan has gained 2 places, but unfortunately Sweet MJP has lost out one of those places to his teammate. So he's down into P7. There is Sweet MJP then, but looking good indeed. Here comes Craigar trying to fight back through Stowe, then on the Haas of Nigel, then into Stowe corner. He just about holds on to the place. Then he's going to go dive down the inside, not quite. Then the Haas holds on, and for the time being that is as well, because I think Craigar is going to be very close indeed. And Potstove is coming through as well. So is Farf. Farf is up 7 places already. He's up from P12 to P5. We didn't even notice him, but he's flying through indeed as quickly as possible, which of course was customary from his races in Silver Season 6 as well. If you haven't seen them, go and watch them back after the race. But there's plenty to watch then, so yeah, go and enjoy that. But nonetheless, then fantastic opening few laps as well. Then got 4 laps have been, 3 laps have been completed. Then we're on to lap 4, and now we've got another 22 to go after this one. So it's going to be another epic showdown here in Silverstone. If you didn't watch the gold race last night, it was fantastic. Speed Kai trying to get himself past Ginner, and there's going to be a Williams there poking his nose in as well on the Aston Martin. Is there? He is poking his nose in there as well, and there's an Alpha Tauri of TK then also deciding to get in the fray also as well. But New Potato has got himself past the Williams, now trying to put the pressure on Speed Kai. We're going wide again. There is New Potato though, and now the Aston Martin of Ginner is back through I should say, then back up into P9, and they're all concentrating up behind this Alfa Romeo. There's contact there into Magnus and Beckett's there. They're going to go side by side through Magnus and Beckett's as well. That's going to be incredible indeed. Can they hold on to it? They can. Then Ginner has now got the DRS then to try and get himself past the Alfa Romeo. What's going on here? I don't know which way he's going to go. Where's he going? Which way is he going? Craigar's had a problem there. Craigar, no, has had an issue there. The exit of Stowe. Then he's dropping down the field. Then after Craigar had a fantastic qualifying and fantastic opening few laps, then he's down the order. New Potato is in the pit lane, as is Speed Kai. I'm not quite sure what's happened to these two, but I think there might be some damage then for both those cars after what happened through Maggotts and Beckett's then, but they've got themselves sorted. Craigar's got himself back underway, but he's down to P13, unfortunately for him. Which is a big shame. After that spin, Speed Kai is just getting rid of the soft compound tyres. Vessia's got a 5-second move for speeding in the pit lane as well. That's bad news. He's going to have to double stack behind his teammate as well. There's a wing change there for New Potato. Then he's on to a new set of medium compound tyres, and Vessia then is coming in as well. So hopefully the Alfa Romeo garage has sorted themselves out before Vessia makes his way, as Vessia has retired on track then. So in the pits then that is. So unfortunately then he is the first pit and quitter then of the season as well. well, because Gold had Gold had a full finish as well, actually. 20 drivers finished, which was absolutely epic indeed. But unfortunately, already 2 DNFs then for Silver in only 5 laps then, which is not good news, not promising then for this season. But there we go. Glocks then he's now under attack then from Nigel. Nigel's got himself in that 1 second window then of the DRS, the very thankful DRS then for the Haas driver. Then of course there's no battery to play with then for the Haas driver, but now he's got himself that extra power then down the straights then with the DRS on the back of the Ferrari, then looking to fight for the lead of this race and get himself a first victory of the season as well. Of course everyone's looking for a first victory of the season, to be fair, apart from TKM and Vessia. Then they decided to just quit, so unfortunately TKM didn't have much of an option, I don't think, but unfortunately Vessia, they decided just to come in the pit lane and park it, but he is out of this Grand Prix as well. 2 retirements then so far. Vertix is still going, then he's had to pit very early as well, but he's still plugging away then his Vertix, which is good to see. Here comes Nigel then on the back of the Ferrari. Then can he get himself into the lead of this Grand Prix in the next few corners or so? I don't think it's going to be down this straight. He's too far back at this stage, but he's still getting himself pulled along nicely indeed with that DRS. Then both the Haas drivers then have increased their pace indeed. Look at this, up 3 places for Nigel, then up 8 places for Farf after Craig R's spin as well. Then he's got himself an extra place there as well, so good stuff indeed. Both the Haas is looking good at this stage of the Grand Prix. Of course, we'll have to wait and see what the strategy is going to be like as well. Into the pit, back in the pits again goes so Speed Kai's gone into the pits again, and so is I'm not quite sure what's going on between Speed Kai and New Potato, if there was more contact there between the two of them. But another wing change then for both drivers then, and unfortunately as New Potato is a pit and quit as well, then unfortunately for him it is both the 2 of the promoted drivers there from Bronze have decided just to pit and quit then, so that is not looking good for their seasons and their seats potentially as well. But there we go. Indeed, that is very fun stuff indeed. Fantastic. Jinner has got himself past TK, then up into P7 though. Jinner is of course another Bronze promotee, another title winner then from Bronze. He is fighting then with TK, who is the current promoted driver, current winner, current champion then of Bronze Season 6 then, and those 2 then are plugging away then, P7 and P8 for the time being. Then TK still going strong, and so is Jinner as well. Gordo is caught out of this battle as well, and is being pulled along nicely, I think, just for the extra points as well for the Mercedes team. Both the Mercedes looking good indeed to get themselves into the top 10 potentially. Lap 7 of 26 then. And it's calmed down a bit now, thankfully, which is quite good for my voice. But thankfully, hopefully we'll pick up again in the next few minutes or so. In the next few laps, we do expect some more pit stops to unfold. We've got the likes of the medium runners there, Potstuff, Favre, Gordo, and Fangio. Then we'll have to make some stops in the next few laps or so. I would imagine then Vertix and Speed Kai can carry on a bit longer then after stopping a bit later then for their medium compound tyres. But at the moment, it is a bit of a struggle then for those who are trying to get the medium compound tyres as far as they can into this race before switching on to a new set of boots, then probably the hard compound tyres. But who knows what the strategy is going to be then for Silver? We will wait and see. Oh, Jinner's had a problem then. Jinner's had a problem then through Maggots and Beckett's. Then he's lost the car. He's back underway then, but he's struggling again. Then, unfortunately for Jinner, then he's had a problem with the car last season as well, and through different circuits. But unfortunately, it seems to be coming back to bite him then at this one as well. Unfortunately for Jinner, then he's got himself back underway. Then he's into P12, but down to P12, I should say. But Craig R and Jinner then after spins then have cost themselves a place in the top 10 in the point scoring places as it stands as well in this Grand Prix. So unfortunately with Jinner then he's been dropped out from P7 then down to P12 then is the Aston Martin then, but hopefully he can get himself back underway. The McLarens have split away then from the rest of the pack as well. They're in a bit of Sweet 100P's in a bit of no man's land unfortunately for Sweet 100P at the moment, but Dylan there is in the hunt for that P1 position. He's the top 5 now are all over the place then. Well, not all over the place, they're all within half a second or so of each other almost, which is pretty good indeed then. And I need to have a quick drink then because my voice has decided to die. So bear with me 1 second then. Right then, I'm back. Did I miss anything? I probably did at this rate. It's been an absolutely epic opening stages for the Grand Prix here in Silver Season 7, and then it's still going to be carrying on, I think, then, because here comes the top 5 once again. Then Speed Car sets the fastest lap of the race. Then he, of course, is pitted for an extra set of medium compound tyres, so he will be currently getting the fastest lap point, of course, but there's still plenty to play for. There's still laps to come and lots of changes to happen as well. But at the moment, as Dopey Lemons got himself past Reflection and into P9, then is the Alpine, or is he? As there's a Williams there involved as well. That's the Alpine of Reflection and the Williams of Dopey Lemons. There you see, I'm getting confused because these cars are all new to me. Well, the drivers in the different cars are new to me, of course, after commentating on Dopey Lemons in the Alfa Romeo all last season and Reflection in the Mercedes. But they have done a good job then getting themselves through then into turn 3 we go. And Mr. Elite then is just on the brink of the points at this stage, currently in P11, then looking good in the Mercedes. As we've got a change for the lead, I've missed it completely, but Nigel has taken the lead of the Grand Prix, then getting himself past Glocks, then into P1, then Potstuff as well, going down the inside at Luffield, has got the move into P2 then, and Glocks has lost 2 places in 2 quarters then. There's a bit of a struggle then for the Ferrari, not quite sure what's going on, and Favre is going to try and get himself down the inside. Is he into Cops? It's going to be close indeed, and he's got the move, then has Favre then up into P3, and Glocks has lost 3 places in the space. What's happened to Vertix, sorry, he's lost the car at the beginning of the lap then, but he's got himself back on the way then, but Glocks has lost 3 places in 3 corners there, and unfortunately he might lose another one here, as here comes Dylan there on the back of the Ferrari then into Stowe corner, and no moves being made, but Potstuff is making moves then up to P1 then for the Alpine driver. He's really putting on a show, is the Alpine, and looking good indeed. He takes the lead of the Grand Prix and up into P1 there. Fantastic stuff indeed. Now both the Haas drivers there on the podium as it stands there, looking strong indeed. But Nigel will want to take that lead back then very soon on the Alpine and try and reclaim that P1 position then very shortly. But Glocks, I'm not quite sure if he just had a problem there through Luffield, but he seemed to lose momentum. He lost 2 places, and then he lost another place then as well to Favre. Yellow flag, virtual safety car, as we've got a problem then for somebody out there. And I think it's Vertix. The Vertix has lost the front wing there on that Red Bull car, and that is why the virtual safety car has been deployed. And will we see some pit activity here if the VSC is out for long enough? That is, it might not be out for long enough, unfortunately, for those on the medium compound tyres. Would be a good time to pit, I would imagine. But they have stayed out. Well, of course, they have to stay out so far. There's no access to the pits. There's no pit lane here. It used to be, but there's no pit lane here anymore, so they're going to have to go around the whole lap before they can get themselves back into the box then. But the VSC might disappear then. It depends how quickly that VSC or that front wing for Vertix is cleared up then before we can get ourselves back underway then in this Grand Prix. Right then, I think we've got Vertix back in the pit lane, then he's got himself into the box then for the repairing that front wing on the Red Bull. VSC is still out there. He's retired in the pit lane there, so that's 4 already then that's gone. Brilliant stuff indeed. That's promising for the season then. We'll have to that's going to be great. Wonderful. Right then, so here we go then. VSC is still out, so this is good stuff indeed there for those on the mediums. I think they might want to pit here, and Potstuff coming in then from the lead of the race then. Both the Hasses stay out as well. As Potstuff's got a 5-second penalty, we're speeding in the pit lane there. That is bad news indeed, and it was so slow indeed as well. The VSC has already gone as well. It was not enough time then to pit under the VSC, and unfortunately, Potstuff picks up a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Favre has got himself past Nigel then, as Vertix has left the session then. That's him done and dusted, and Potstuff then, who is technically pitting under green flags because he didn't get himself into the box then before the VSC disappeared. Then so Potstuff there down the order, then dropping down to P13. DK's in the pits as well. Then Mumford, of course, is still going, trying to get himself back in this Grand Prix as well. Apologies for my Christmas cough, but there we go then. Right then, so Favre there takes the lead ahead of his teammate of Nigel. Now both the Hasses are looking strong here at this stage on the only the halfway, not at the halfway stage of this race just yet, are we? So there's still plenty to play for. Gino has got himself back into the top 10 now, ahead of Craigar as these two are battling away. Then Craigar's got the inside then through Luffield, and there's a bit of rubbing his racing, I think, there from the Ferrari and the Aston Martin, but Gino takes back that P10 for the time being now. Mr. Elite has got himself up into P9 then, looking good indeed there for Mr. Elite as it stands at the moment. Of course, there's pit stops to be made then for the top 13, and there's the rest of the drivers then. Potstuff, TK and Speed Kai have already made their stops as well, so they won't have to stop again unless they want to, that is. Dopey Lemons has got himself past Gordo, now up into P6. There is Dopey Lemons there after a difficult start. He's difficult qualifying. He's now up into P6, which is looking good indeed. 300p is in the pit lane as well. Inginer has been overtaken there by Craigar, and now almost Fanjo as well, I think there, but there's notice Fanjo's coming in the pit lane, I think. He is coming in the pit lane there and into the final couple of corners there. Virginia then, he's got himself another Ferrari to look at as well. So pit stops then for Sweet MJP and for Gordo as well. Then onto the hard compound tyres goes Sweet MJP. Then Gordo doing the same thing as well in the Mercedes, and Fanjo I think will copy suit in the Red Bull onto the hard compound tyres. Then Potstuff going to fly through them. Of course, that 5-second penalty will be added on to his race time at the end of the race, unless he chooses to pit again, and it will be served in the pit stops then. So there we go. But there we go, right, good stuff indeed. TK is going to take back the places then on Fanjo then, and I think Gordo as well. It's going to be close indeed with Gordo, and Gordo just come out of the pit lane there, but he's behind the AlphaTauri just about. Then he's going to have DRS there down the Wellington straight then after getting himself just out of the box then in that 1 second window. Of course, TK's tyres are nice and warmed up, and then of course Gordo's got to get that warming up phase done and dusted and out of the way as quickly as possible then as well. Out in front then, any stops then going to be unfolding then for Farf. Or anybody else. Then Jenna picks up a 3-second penalty. That's the first penalty then of the evening. First track limits penalty that is for the evening as well. Around the outside goes Farf. Then he tries to take back the place then on his teammate Nigel. Then into the box he goes. Can he get the car slowed down in time? He can, which is good news indeed. Right. It's going to be calming down hopefully in a little bit. Jinner and Craig are resuming their fight as well through Stowe corner. Jinner then takes back the position then on the Ferrari as we go as into the pits comes Craigar. Then can he get himself slowed down as well? He can, which is good stuff indeed. Favre of course losing out in the order then with that pit stop then for the Haas driver. Then onto the hard compound tyres he goes. We're at the almost at the halfway stage of this race. Then this is the 13th lap then of 26. Craigar also is going to coming in. He's changing off the hards then. He's changing onto the medium compound tyres, so he thinks the mediums can be good enough to the end of the Grand Prix from here, which is an interesting factor. We'll have to wait and see how it's going to play out then for Craigar. Dopey Lemons and Reflection are battling away again, and Reflection now up into P4 then after the Alpine there getting himself past the Williams into Luffield. We go again, and these drivers then fighting away. Then they've got Mr. Elite for company as well. Into the pits comes Craigar. No, wait, that's Craigar coming out of the pit lane there. Fanjo picks up a 3-second penalty. That is bad news for Fanjo after that stop as well. So it's there's still some difficulties then I think for some drivers out there. Mumford has got himself on the bag of Potstuff now as well. Hopefully he can use the DRS of Potstuff to pull himself into the fight then of the drivers ahead as well, because there's still some battling to be going on as well. Glocks has taken back the lead. Has he into Stowe corner? He has on the Haas of Nigel, I should say, and up into P1 goes the Ferrari. Back into P1 I should say goes the Ferrari, but he's back in the pits, or into the pits I should say, and so is Dylan as well. Gone. Right then, Glocks is in the pit lane, so is Dylan. Reflection, we'll see what Reflection is doing. He's carrying on his Reflection, so is Dopey Lemons. Mr. Elite has called it a day there on the hards, and he's going for the mediums, I would imagine. Glocks onto the medium compound tyres. Reflection is now up into P2 then after a fantastic first stint of this race. Then it's going strong indeed for the Alpine driver and for Dopey Lemons there after a difficult qualifying as well. Jinner carries on also, but here comes Glocks. Where's he going to come out in respect to Potstuff? Potstuff is going to be taking the lead, I think, as well. He's gone through, so has Mumford as well. Glocks just coming out up the hill then onto the track, and there's going to be a Haas of Farf very close indeed as well. Then Farf there has got himself ahead of Dylan then, but he's behind the Ferrari of Glocks for the time being. Fanjo sets the fastest lap of the race then. Good stuff indeed from Fanjo then, carrying on in the Red Bull as well. Great stuff indeed. And we'll plug on and see what we can do then, as here comes Dopey Lemons then we're back on the Alpine of the diffuser of the Alpine I should say, trying to get himself up into P2, but Reflection is having none of it for the time being. He wants to keep hold of that pace and keep hold of that P2 for the foreseeable future, until he has to of course make a pit stop, which he will have to do unless it starts raining. He can technically go to the end if it starts raining, but if he carries on nice and dry as it is, then he will have to make a mandatory pit stop then and switch onto a different dry compound of tyre. I'm sure you're all familiar with how pit stops work, but there you go. That's your pit stop lesson then for the session, I suppose you could say. Dylan there is now on fresh medium compound tyres, so is Farf on fresh hard compound tyres, trying to get themselves past Glocks. Then Reflection is in the pit lane. Reflection's got a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. That is bad news indeed for the Alpine driver. We saw a couple get caught out in gold last night as well with the same. I think it's just the nature of this pit lane. It makes it, you're going so fast towards the pit entry and you can't slow down enough in time. Then unfortunately for some of those drivers, then they've got those 5-second penalties, unfortunately for them. Favre sets the fastest lap of the race. Then he's got himself all over the back. Then he's got himself past Dylan, I should say. He's all over the back of Glocks at one point, but now Dylan is all over the back of the Haas driver. Then into turn 2. Oh, there's a dive from Dylan. There's contact there for the McLaren, and he's spun himself around. Then unfortunately for Dylan, he's gone back underway. But Sweet MGP then is going to be closer to Dylan then, and Dylan is to Nigel now. Nigel has got a fresh set of boots then, and a bit of an undercut there on the McLarens then as well. He's got himself ahead, and I'm really struggling with this car, unfortunately. Sorry. Right then, hopefully that's better. I've just coughed my guts up. There we go, all sorted now, and we can crack on. Mumford in the pit lane then, so is Dopey Lemons as well. These are the last few pit stops then for those who haven't stopped at all in this Grand Prix, and into the box then for the Williams driver. And he's back underway. Where he's going to be out in the order, though, it's going to be just ahead of Craig R. So they can resume their battle, I would imagine. Gino and Mumford are switching places. Mumford is coming back out of the pit lane now to get himself back underway. Out in front, the gap now 2.5 seconds between Glocks and the race leader currently of Potstuff. But of course, Potstuff has that 5-second penalty that will be added on to his race time unless he makes a stop. Then, which of course will be added on to his race stop. That is in that case. But there we go. Now here comes Nigel then trying to get himself in the DRS window of his teammate of Farf. He's got a 1.1 second gap then. He's almost within that 1 second window, but unfortunately not quite just yet. And he's used up a lot of the battery power as well. Has the Haas driver then trying to get himself in that 1 second window. Then he's now got himself in that 1 second, but he's unfortunately missed the DRS detection point. So he's going to have to try and wait his wings, then wait once again to get to the next straight then, of the Wellington straight that is. 2.1 seconds now is the gap then. Unfortunately, it looks like Potstuff, who is leading the race then on merit as well, is going to have that 5-second penalty. Going to cost him a race win then on the first race of the season as well. Craig has got himself past Dopey Lemons then up into P12. And fighting on then is Craig R after an excellent qualifying as well. Nigel sets the fastest lap of the race then as well. That's going to get himself comfortably in the DRS then of his teammate of Farf, then currently occupying the final podium place then is Farf. But I think his teammate of Nigel is going to have something to say about that, I think, in the next few corners or so, as we go on to the Wellington straight once again then. The gap out in front then is coming down very quickly indeed. Now it's now 1.4 seconds between Glocks then and Potstuff. Nigel and Farf switching places then into the Brooklands corner, then into Luffield as well. Around the outside goes Farf then on the hard compound tyres. He might come back to him later on in this race. We'll have to wait and see how the tyre wear affects the speed of the racers as they go through the final stages of this Grand Prix. But Reflection now up into P9, but there's a Mercedes there trying to stick his nose in through Luffield as well. Mr. Elite there in P10 at the moment is waiting in the wings then, but currently has not been able to get himself past that Alpine just yet. then that was nice and calm for the time being. Farf there trying to get himself back past Nigel, but Nigel's still having none of it. So both the Hasses there going to be joined at the hip. Then it looks like Jinner has picked up a 3-second penalty, unfortunately, through Maggots, and Beckett's then trying to get himself back around the circuit as quickly as possible. Then that has cost him a 3-second time penalty that we added onto his race time at the end of the Grand Prix. Nigel sets the fastest lap of the race again. So looking strong indeed then in the Haas. Then Craig R and Dopey Lemon's going to be side by side through here. That is close indeed. There's almost contact as well, but they've got themselves through unscathed. And now Craig R all over the back of that Williams. Then he can see all the details there on that rear wing then, and now in towards the first turn. It's going to be tight indeed going through there side by side, but they managed to go through just about. Then there's great racing indeed from the Williams and the Ferrari so far this lap as well. And Craig R takes the place, and he's got himself up into P12. Then great stuff indeed after recovering at this stage of the Grand Prix. Then after that spin earlier on as well, TK is looking good indeed. The bronze champion then is currently in P7. Then he's got some pressure from Gordo though, but Gordo will have to have a bigger say than that if he's going to have the DRS to get himself past into P7 as well. Then and just on the back of the McLarens at this stage as well. It's not too far, or it's not too far off. Then at this stage, here comes Glocks though, but Glocks is onto the hangar straight. Then can he get the lead back for the Grand Prix once again on lap 18? He's got himself up into P1, or back up into P1, and he's taken the lead of the race here as well. Taken back the lead of the race, I should say, on the medium compound tyres. Then great stuff indeed then from Glocks, then looking strong in the Ferrari so far in this one. Gordo has got himself past TK then into Stowe corner, but TK's fighting back then, and can he make a move then into Vale and then into Club corner as well, but not quite. He has to sit behind the Mercedes for this part of the complex and wait for his time to come again. Then Craig R and Dopey Lemons again battling away then into Vale and Club again, and the Ferrari this time behind the Williams once again as well, but now onto the straight. Can he get himself powered past once again as we saw on the last lap? Not quite though. He has to sit behind now, and Jinner has caught up to the back of these two as well, and he's going to get himself interested in this fight as well. And there's all sorts of action going on. I'll have to go back to the action over here, but Potstuff has been passed by Nigel. Then Nigel up into P2, and now trying to chase down his rival in the Ferrari of Glocks then, who is looking formidable indeed. Then great stuff indeed. This race is really starting to open up as well at this final few laps here, as Jinner and Dopey Lemons there all over the place. Then these three, then Craig R is in there as well. He's got his nose in there down the inside, and now Jinner is Dopey Lemons now is going to go down the inside into Luffield as well, and he's got the move done I think on the Ferrari, has he? And Jinner has got himself up into P12. I didn't even notice there. Jinner has gone from P14 up into P12, getting past both of them and flying through. Then Dopey Lemons there trying to keep up then with the Aston Martin. Then he's got himself past the Ferrari there, but these three are putting on a fantastic show indeed, to be fair. Great stuff indeed. Speed Kai picks up a 3-second penalty unfortunately for him, as Mafanjo has got himself past Mr. Ali then into the top 10 now, as Gordo has been passed by TK. These two resuming their battle as well as the battles start to commence there. Mumford picks up a 3-second penalty going through Maggots and Beckett's. Unfortunately for the AlphaTauri driver, it's been a difficult race for him, but fair play to him for plugging away and keeping at it as well. Blimey, this is the action back this Grand Prix. And what a way to start off the season as well. What a way to start off 2024 for Silver as well. It's been absolutely fantastic. Potstuff, they're almost losing the car there on the traction there, trying to keep up with Nigel. Then they've got a 1.6 second gap. Potstuff picks up a 3-second penalty. That is bad news indeed. There's going to be penalties coming in at the end of this race then. That's going to affect the finishing position as well. Reflection picks up a penalty as well as we go through onto the Wellington straight. Here he goes trying to get himself past Gordo, as Gordo has got himself past TK, and down the inside goes Reflection as well. Then TK's going to have to be wary of the Alpine as well that's right behind him, and the Mercedes that's right in front of him, but the Alpine can't get through. Craig R's got himself through though on the Williams of Dopey Lemons. Now Jinner has got himself a nice little gap, then he stretched his legs there, has Jinner, and got himself away from the battling two behind as well. Good stuff from him. TK has been joined by Reflection, by Fandro, by Mr. Elite, and trying to get himself past Gordo, then into Maggots and Beckett's. We go, that is not an overtaking place. That's not a place to go side by side, but they thought better of it then, I think. Here comes TK. I think he's going to have to go for the move, unless he wants to get himself overtaken by Reflection, because Reflection is on the charge as well here. Here comes Reflection. They're going to go each way there past Gordo. Gordo's got himself in a sandwich there into Stowe corner. Then he's got the move back on TK, but Reflection takes the P7 position away from both of them. them as we go into Vale then, and there's contact again. There's been all sorts of things going on here. TK's dropped down to P9 then, but he's right on the tail then of Gordo, and Banjo is all over the back of them now as well, and they're all catching up to this battle as well. Mr. Elite is in the fray for some points here as well. Dopey Lemons has made a pit stop. So unfortunately for Dopey Lemons, not quite sure what happened to him there, but he's into the box once again. So maybe he's going for the fastest lap point. But unfortunately with Dopey Lemons, they were struggling then at this stage of the race there. But he's got him, as Dopey Lemons has pit and quit as well. So there we go then. So, I mean, there's easy ways to avoid license points. It's just going for the fastest lap point instead. But there we go. Nonetheless, pot stuff then will carry on. Then we've only got 15 drivers left in this session then, after a lot of people, both the Williams drivers are out. Unfortunately TKM there couldn't take the race start, and then he had a glitch, then we kicked him out of the session, as we've been told. But here we go then. Pot stuff then is back on the back on the diffuser of Nigel, trying to get himself back into P2. Then of course the penalties will start to cost him. And here is your penalty list then. 8 seconds there for pot stuff. Both the Alpines actually have got 8 seconds of penalties, then 1 for speeding in the pit lane, 5 seconds, and 1 3-second penalty then for track limits as well. 3 seconds for Fanjo, 6 for Jenna, 3 for Mumford, and 3 for Speed Kai, who's still going in this race and showing most of the silver drivers how to do it, to be fair, because he's doing a good job then of keeping going in this Grand Prix. Yellow flags, it's for Glocks there. Glocks has had a spin then at the exit of the final corner, and he's had a spin and he's lost out on P1. He's down to P5 then. Glocks, what's happened to Glocks then? We missed it completely, but he's lost out on the lead of the Grand Prix, and he's down to P5, and he's got himself back underway. But unfortunately that is costly indeed then, and that could have cost him his first race win of his ALR career. And unfortunately for the Ferrari team, they've both had spins, and they've both cost them their positions in this race massively as well, and they've cost them a lot of points as well, because Craig R, if you remember at the beginning of the race, was up in the order, then up in P3 before that spin at Stowe as well. So unfortunately both the Ferraris there having difficulties then with the spins, and that has cost them their positions in this race, or cost them the lead of this race as well in terms of Glocks. Unfortunately for Glocks then, as Dopey Lemons left the session as well. But here we go then. We're on to the final few laps then. We'll have a look at the penalty situation then for your driver of the day votes, because hopefully somebody can get the driver of the day sorted in the comment section. If they haven't, tag Smithy in the Discord and tell him to sort it out. But there we go then, as Pot Stuff then is trying to get himself back up into P1, then down the hangar straight once again. Then both the ERS lights flashing away then on the Alpine and the lead Haas. Farf has not got an ERS as well to play with, but they've got a nice healthy gap then to the top four, to the rest of the pack, I should say, of Dylan there, who's 5 seconds behind at this stage of the race. Reflection going for P6, then he's up into P6, getting himself past Sweeping P. Then TK and Gordo battling away as well, and Fanjo's got himself up into P8, then Gordo dropping down to P10 then as TK takes the position, then up into P9 for the AlphaTauri. But they're going to go side by side through Vale, are they? Not quite indeed, but it's close indeed, as Gordo is trying to put his nose in there. I wouldn't want to put your nose in there at that stage of the corner, or that part of the track I suppose you could say, because it's going to be quite treacherous indeed. But there we go then, as there we go around into lap 23 we would go, as everybody has, I think, started got themselves away there onto lap 23. Speed car just trying to catch up as well at this stage, and there we go. That is the order so far. No driver of the day poll, which is great. But yeah, so tag Smithy in the Discord then if you want to get a driver of the day poll going, because we need a driver of the day at some point. But there we go then. Pot Stuff then is going to be trying to chase down, but I think Favre is looking. It's looking like a Haas 1-2 here in Silverstone for the opening stages of the British Grand Prix. I'm not quite sure if anybody predicted that after qualifying, but it is looking good indeed so far. As here we go then onto the hangar straight once again then for the 23rd time. Blimey, it's gone flying by as this race. It's been absolutely epic, to be fair. But onto Stowe Corner once again then, and these three, I think they're going to be finishing in the same order pretty much. As there is the driver of the day poll, Nigel, Farf, Dylan, or Mr. Elite. Then we'll have a look at the position changes as well, as there is the changes of your positions then in this race so far. Reflection up 11 places. That's pretty good indeed. Then Favre up 9 places, 8 for Gordo and 9 for Mr. Elite. Then after both the Mercedes struggled in qualifying, they're now almost into the points as well. As it stands, there might be some penalties there further on for the likes of Reflection for Fanjo as well, that could get the Mercedes both promoted into the top 10. So it is looking good indeed then for the points haul then for both the Haas drivers, for the Mercedes Mercedes drivers, for the McLaren drivers as well, and both the Alpines as it stands as well. Good stuff indeed from those teams. They are going strong here in Silverstone. Oh, blimey. nice to have a bit of sit down, a bit of a quiet evening, I think, after this one, because it's been an absolutely epic Grand Prix after an absolutely epic qualifying then to open up the season as well. And now on to lap 24 then. Can Potstuff go for the lead of the Grand Prix as we go through Maggots and Beckett's then for the almost the penultimate time? Then we're not quite yet, but now on to the straight we go then. Here we go then for Potstuff. Can he get himself past that Haas then that's just eluding that race lead? Is he going to dive down the inside into Stowe? Not quite. He's a bit too far back, is he? Nope. Nigel holds on to the place regardless as well, and that is good stuff indeed. Good defending as well, and good racing between the two of them as well. Great stuff indeed. Farf they're just waiting in the wings, and I think he's waiting for that P2 position, because I think he knows that Potstuff has got that 8-second penalty that's going to be added onto his race time. I think Dylan might actually get himself onto the podium as well at this stage, which is going to be good for him also as well. But unfortunately for Glocks, then he's just lost that's been costing the race lead, and that is costing, I think, a lot of confidence as well at this stage, because he's just not catching up to Dylan as quickly as he could be after he had shown the pace then after taking the lead. Jenner is in the pit lane now as well, so Jenner, I think, is going to be hopefully going for the fastest lap point and not pitting and quitting. We'll have to wait and see. We are on to the penultimate lap of the race then, and we've got only one lap to go then, of course, after this one to finish off the British Grand Prix, the opener of Silver Season 7 then. And get your votes in for Driver of the Day in the comment section, of course. Nigel, Farf, Dylan and Mr. Elite are your candidates then for the Driver of the Day poll as well. So that is what you've got. Your choices of voting are available for you now in the comment section of the Discord of the YouTube channel, that is YouTube stream. Whatever it is, it's something or other. Right then, are we going to have any changes then for the lead of the race then before we get to the checkered flag? I don't think so. I think that Potstuff is just not close enough then to make any moves then on the Haas of Nigel then into the lead of the Grand Prix. Nigel then showing the consistency that he's had from previous silver seasons and looking strong indeed as well. Farf then is looking good as well. Dylan is looking good after gaining 4 places off the qualifying order, as so is Reflection then after that, although he has got that 8-second penalty, of course, that'll be added onto his race time. I think Fanjo just picked up a penalty as well. That's 6 seconds for Fanjo. That will surely drop him out of the top 10 as well, I think. It might be close indeed. We'll have to wait and see. So that might be Fanjo then out of the top 10 as well. Unfortunately for Fanjo, it's not been his race in this one so far, but nonetheless, we'll hopefully see him bounce back then in the season and after this one as well. But it's been, like I said, just getting himself back up to speed then for Fanjo, I think, in this Grand Prix. There we go then. Into Luffield once again. Then Potstuff still stuck behind that Haas of Nigel. Then yellow flags. It's for Gordo. Gordo's had a problem then at turn 3. Well, where's he on? He's off the circuit completely then, is Gordo. He's got himself back underway, and he's unfortunately that has cost him massively, as well as he's been passed by Craig R as well. Then as we go down towards Brooklands and Luffield once again, then unfortunately for Gordo, he's lost out of the top 10, and that is promoted his teammate back into the top 10, I suppose you could say, but unfortunately not looking too good. Mumford's the fastest lap of the race then. That's what he needs then to get that extra point. Then here comes Potstuff then on the back of Nigel then for the lead of the Grand Prix there on the final lap then. Into Stowe corner we go, and it looks like he's got the move done, has he? Potstuff then up into P1. He's taken the lead there on Stowe corner on the final lap of the race. Into Vale we go as well. And oh dear, he's all over the place then as Potstuff then is onto the final corner. Around the final corner we go then, and Potstuff wins on track, but Nigel takes the victory here in Silverstone for the opening race of Silver Season 7. Fantastic stuff indeed then for the driver for Nigel in the Haas. Both the Haas's a 1-2 finish for the Haas with Farf in P2. Fantastic result indeed for him as well. Dylan does get P3 in the end after the penalties were added on as well. Great stuff indeed from Dylan there, gaining 5 places over the race as well. Glocks there. Unfortunately, with that spin, that cost him dearly. He still gets P4, pot stuff down into P5 with the penalty. Sweet and your P and P6. Mr. Elite there. 13 places gained from P20 on the grid there into P7. Great stuff from him. TK gets P8. Then in the end, Fanjo keeps hold of the points pair positions in P9. Reflection into P10. Gordo misses out, unfortunately, after that spin. Just cost him by 3 seconds, unfortunately, that spin there for Gordo on the final lap. Craig R in P12, Gino in P13, Soldier it on as well. Mumford is going to cross the line, I think, in P14 and take home the fastest lap point, I believe, as well. Yes, he has got the fastest lap as well, which is great news indeed for him. Speed Kai around the final couple of corners as well to finish off the first race of the season for Silver. But blimey, that was absolutely fantastic indeed. As we got the Alfa Romeo just crossing the line to finish off the Grand Prix. Fantastic stuff indeed. Then for the 15 finishers, really well done, well driven as well indeed. After a lot of people there, a bit of race rust I think was coming through towards the end of the Grand Prix. Then that was a bit of a few spins that came into the fray. But I think it was just unfortunately unintentional accidents there by their own means. But there was no helping hands, put it that way. But unfortunate scenes there for the spins for the drivers that did spin. But hopefully they can bounce back there. A bit more practice under their belts, then they will get themselves back up to speed. But very good stuff indeed. Once again, then from Silver, then for the first race of the season in 2024, and we can get ourselves some interviews hopefully with the rest of the grid, or the podium sitters, I should say first. Where there's 2 Hasses on the podium, then there's 1 McLaren, but we'll get the interviews underway very shortly indeed once the celebrations have died down. But very good stuff. What a race indeed for Silver. And if that's the precedent for the rest of the season, then it's going to be a bit tiring for me. But there we go then. There is your classification then for the first race of Silver Season 7. Round 1, Britain is done. Nigel takes the win then in the Haas. Great stuff indeed for both the Haas drivers there. Favre in P2 as well. There Dylan in P3 in the McLaren. Glocks then in P4 in the Ferrari. Potstaff P5 in the end without penalties added on. Sweenger P in P6 then. Mr. Elite P7. Great race from him. Same for TK, of course, in P8 as well. Fanjo then did get himself in the points in P9. Reflection in P10. Gordo P11. Craig R in P12, Mumford P13, Speed Kai finishes P14, and Gino in P15 in the end. Then, unfortunately, Dopey Lemons, Vertex, Irish New Potato, and Vessia all left the session. Then, so they will not be classified. And TKM had the glitch then at the start, which unfortunately cost him his place in the race as well. So he DNF'd on lap 1. But there we go. Then that is the British Grand Prix done and dusted. Then we've got the drivers, I think, ready for an interview quickly. So we will run through the interviews very shortly, but very nice indeed, very good stuff indeed. Thank you very much for joining us all as well. Dylan, in P3 then for yourself, then did you think P3 was on the cards then at the beginning of this race?
I would be satisfied with the top 5 in fairness, to be quite frankly at the end, right with you, I pretty much gifted that podium, and quite frankly, gift wrapped in all sense, because when I see Max spun at failed chicane, it just pretty much gift wrapped me a podium or something like that.
Well, you still had to soldier on, and you did a very good job. It looked strong indeed for yourself and your teammate in qualifying. Will we see both of you fighting for the pole positions in the next few races?
Me and Sweet, in fairness, similar pace, to be quite frankly, in quality. So see how it goes, later down the line. So yeah, pretty much looking forward to.
Good stuff indeed. And of course, Austria next week. What's your thoughts for the Austrian Grand Prix in a week's time?
Pretty much looking forward already. Pretty much looking forward to it, because it's my strongest track out of this game.
Right, then you've heard it here first. Then Dylan for pole position, Dylan for the win. Then we've got that confirmed. That's a commentator's curse, but there we go. No, fantastic stuff indeed for Dylan this race, and of course, congratulations on the podium as well here in Silverstone for the first race of the season. Farf, we've got Farf in P2. I'm sure this is going to be very short, but Farf, did you have a good race?
Yeah, boy.
And did you enjoy yourself?
Yeah.
And did you think you could get the win?
Nah.
And were you going to let Nigel win?
No way.
Okay. Great stuff indeed, Farf. Well done. And congratulations on P2. Nigel is in P1, then the first victory of 2024 for Silver, and back in the Silver grid, and then back in the Haas as well, back with Farf. Did you think the win was on the cards for yourself this race?
No. After the qualification, I was thinking, just hope for the top 5, because the other pace of the other guys was really fast, and then the race come along, and yes, it just quote to me.
And you kept up the pace then throughout all 26 laps, to be fair. And with your teammate, with Farf, then you're probably the most consistent pairing then in that race as well, with a fantastic result then, a 1-2 in the end there. Can you keep the form up then in Austria for the 1-2s? Is it going to be a 1-2 every race for Haas?
We hope so. We hope so.
Okay, well, we'll see. What's your thoughts then for Austria coming up next week?
Just doing the same. No, let's keep pushing the season, and let's hope for the best.
Well, we'll see you promoted back to gold then, and then you can have fun in that one as well. No, good stuff from Nigel. Then a fantastic race win then, and like I said, commiserations to Potstuff and to Glocks then, who had their issues then in that race then, that cost them their places as well, potentially on the podium too. But fantastic stuff indeed from all of Silver then for the first race of the season. Then a bit of race rust in places, I think, but we will get that all scraped off then and sorted then for round 2 in Austria in a week's time. Then of course bronze is coming up tomorrow night. Then bronze will taking on Silverstone for the first time this season as well. And then the 100% League is returning on Wednesdays as well. So we've got the Austrian Grand Prix for that one. That's going to be fun indeed. So stay tuned to ALR. Plenty more action coming up, and we'll see you very soon.